All right, all right. So we got a whole weekend of college football and NFL to wrap up with you guys, and it was pretty amazing. We had a lot of fun games, a lot of what the freak am I talking about? We lost money. Yeah, we didn't lose money. We just barely gained some. So we started off with, I'll go over it briefly. So we started off with 1621 and we ended with 1676. So roughly about $50. And it's not what we want to look at, that's for sure. It's not what we want to talk about, but we got to be honest, transparent with you guys and let you know every week what we do. And we got up to 2336. It's that second time we got up to 2336. So we get past that certain 2,300 level and then crap the bed. So we're trying to get it above and sustain and hit that. But usually we get a little streak. This isn't our greatest season ever, but it's working out pretty nicely. We're still starting with the initial 500. We've worked it out to at least you're not playing with your money. You haven't played with your money since week one. If you've been with the program since week zero of college football. And it's been some pretty good games. It's been some upsets. We try to avoid those. You know, it could have gone a terrible direction if Georgia doesn't win that game. That brings us down to like our last $200, and that game was pretty close. But overall, for an entertainment standpoint, it's been a beautiful weekend, college football and NFL, both just delivering great games and great matchups. We started off with, you got Utah and Oregon State on Friday night. I'm going to go over it briefly because there's so many games. I'm not even going to look ahead. We're just going to hit the games, kind of get a feel of what happened. You take a look and see what these games, you kind of see where these teams land. It helps you for the next week. So we got Utah at Oregon State. And Utah without Cam Rising is just non-existent offense. They're terrible. They can't catch the ball. They have no confidence in their quarterback. You can tell their body language is just terrible. That defense, if it doesn't carry them, then they're pretty much useless, especially against a good offense like Oregon State. Oregon State looks to be middle of the pack. They're not going to take the Pac-12 championship, that's for sure. Right now, they're looking at number 19, and they were 19, but Utah's dropped from 10 to, I believe, like 18, number 18. So obviously Oregon State's going to move up those rankings. BYU beat Cincinnati, and this is their Big 12, both of their Big 12 debuts this season. So Cincinnati is looking at a measly 2-3, and I really miss the days of the Bearcats just dominating, winning every game their season, and then getting stuck outside the playoff. But they are not that team anymore. You got Desmond Ridder over in the at the Falcons over in London, screwing it up for everybody today. But we're not even close to NFL yet. But BYU, they look for real. They look legit. They could be ranked pretty soon. Not yet. They gotta face some big teams. They got TCU next week, I believe, and that looks good. I don't know if you guys caught the Tulane game. Probably not. But UAB head coach Trent Dilfer had another one of his rants, which I think he should be pissed. He's 1-4, and it was on a mistake where it gave up a first down when it was a fourth down. So should he be pissed? Absolutely. And he's yelling at his assistant coaches. You want him yelling at players, or you want him yelling at assistant coaches, or you want him throwing a fit where? I don't know. Some people are judging him because he was throwing that fit. Go check it out. But I think it's totally justified. The team's 1-4. They had a great opportunity to beat Tulane, which is they were ranked and they will be ranked. They're 4-1 right now and planning to win all the rest of their games. You got Rice. That team, I think you got to look out for. That's one of those teams, just like Duke, that is kind of under the radar to bet on. The spread hasn't really caught up with them because the public hasn't really caught up with them. Rice and I believe it's JT Daniels, who's been everywhere. And they also have the other McCaffrey brother, and he's a great wide receiver right now. He was actually started off as a quarterback at I can't remember the school, but he started off as a quarterback and now he's a wide receiver and he plays great. Those guys are just athletic freaks. And I believe their mom was a track star, and obviously Ed McCaffrey was a tight end for the Broncos. So good genes, kind of like me. There we go. Yeah. So, but look out for Rice. They're going to be a good team to bet on. Not a top 25 team, but sitting at 3-2 right now. They haven't beat any great teams, but they are beating the spreads. That's what I like to hear. They're putting up numbers. They got something to prove. That's one of those teams that NIL has bought. NIL money. So you can get one of these smaller teams and they buy their players. James Madison, I really messed up on that one. That was one of the picks that I was really looking forward to, and you don't pull the trigger, but they did what they were supposed to do, and they won that game versus. Let's see what else we got. We got Florida. Florida doing what Florida does, getting up into those big games and then crapping the bed. You got Florida at Kentucky, and they just got destroyed. Coming off a big win, though, kind of like what Miami did at Buffalo today. You come off these huge, epic wins, and then there's the famous letdown game. So, am I surprised Florida doesn't really have the returning players? They're going to keep that structure on their team, and Kentucky's always a really strong running team. They're very solid. They got athletes. They get big name recruits. So it's not totally surprising that Florida would go into Kentucky and lose this game. But to get beat down so bad, that's pretty bad. 33-14. And Minnesota, Minnesota. I'm not going to forgive them because last week they blew that 21-point lead just to go ahead and come back this next week and win by 11, which was the spread. And they lost us that money last week. That would have put us in the over 3,000 easily. They were up by 21 points. And we had it in the bag. We were counting our money. I was watching a movie. Ace was, doing some gardening, whatever he does. The professor calls us up, and I just won't forget it. That's going to be one of those stories that you keep with you throughout the whole betting life, however long you do this, which most of us will probably do it for the rest of our lives because we watch sports. What are you going to do? Then you put your money where your mouth is. You try to figure out the system, try to figure out the code, whatever. Try to understand how the teams are going to win and lose these games. Some big games. You got USC at Colorado, and we did not bet on them. If anything, we were going to take Colorado in the points, and that's the way we were leaning, but I couldn't tell because there's still no Travis Hunter, the Colorado star receiver / cornerback, and Shadir Sanders looks beat up at quarterback position. He's taken huge hits. If you go look at his statistics, he's taking big, giant body-wrecking hits that his father has to be looking at and saying, how long do I want him to take these hits if he's going to go to the NFL, which he's obviously an NFL caliber quarterback. He's got that swag about him that you just can't produce out of somewhere. You can't just make people be winners. Obviously, he is a winner. It's not just his dad. He's not Michael Jordan's son. You could have all the talent in the world and not be able to produce. I mean, just like the rest of us who are just average people, but that's subconscious, I'm a winner. Nothing I do is wrong. He's got that swag about him. So that's pretty awesome. Looking forward to see him play. But USC kept up with them. I mean, not kept up with them. They were destroying them at the beginning, and then Colorado snuck back in, made it a game. They got offense. And their defense is not bad. But USC's defense is suspect. That's for sure. So San Jose State scored about 30 on them. I mean, USC always look at taking the points because they got that explosive offense. You're going to want to take the points most of the time. It's USC. So everybody's looking at them betting, oh, they'll beat them by 400 points. So take the other team and you'll be good. We did not take the other team. We went with the super, super safe bet. We went with 1, 2, 3. We went with Georgia, Michigan, and then you got Texas. So 1, 2, 3 in the rankings. And that's something that is one of those no-brainers. You just have to look at when it lines up. You can't go 1, 2, 3 every week because sometimes those guys are suspect. But Georgia and Michigan are probably going to go. They're going to win all their games. They might lose Ohio State, but they're probably most likely going to win it. But that's the one that's on the schedule. Actually, Penn State. I don't know if they play them this year, but if they play Penn State looks legit. This quarterback that they have is a freshman, and he is playing with a lot of confidence. He's playing with a lot of swag. He's playing with a lot of, like he's been there, but he's just a kid. And that's, to go to that school, start off like that. He looks like he's better than McSorley. He looks like he's better than a lot of players that came out of Penn State. Where's McSorley now? I don't even know. I couldn't tell you. Hit me up in the comments if you know. But this Maryland team, so Indiana goes to Maryland. Maryland's 5-0. I believe they play Ohio State next, but that's a big matchup that we're looking towards. They did not make the top 25, but they should be. They probably should be. You got Fresno State in the top 25, and they're playing phenomenal. They gave a big goose egg to ASU last week. That's huge because ASU gets talent. They did hurt their quarterback, I believe, but still, 3 points? You can't put up 3 points if you're Arizona State? That's a big, big letdown, and I don't see them recovering anytime soon because the Pac-12 is going away. Everything's in general disarray, and I don't see Arizona State, but Maryland going to Ohio State. Let's see if they're going to Ohio State. Yes, it's at Ohio State. That is going to be a huge game for them. Ohio State had a bye this week, so they should be pretty healthy, but it didn't look like Indiana put up much of an effort. Well, they put up an effort, but they didn't put up much of a fight, I suppose. 44-17. They're putting up those Maryland numbers. Now, every year, everybody knows Maryland will put up 70 points. They'll put up 40 points. They'll put up 50 points. Especially Little Tua has been there for probably about 3-4 years. And they'll put up like this insane amount of points in the first 3 weeks. And then they will not follow it up when it comes to one of these big games. But I'm feeling like this is their year. They're going to give Ohio State a run for their money. And Ohio State's ranked 4. I think that's a little premature. That's probably coming off their name alone because they've played poorly. They did have a big win last week, but at Notre Dame last second, I don't think they deserve to be number 4. I don't think they're number 4. I mean, you tell me what you think, but number 4 for that last second finish where they drove it all the way. It shows heart, and it was at Notre Dame. I'll give them that, but I don't think this is an Ohio State team. Normally, they just go in there and destroy them. I don't even think it's a game with some of the past Ohio State teams. Let's get this going. So we got Michigan, obviously going undefeated at Nebraska. They don't play a real team until like week 7 or 8 when they face Penn State. Yes, they face Penn State November 11th. So mark that on your calendars. They go Penn State, Maryland, then Ohio State. So the last 3 games of the season, but that's some fun right there. I mean, you just got to take it. That's college football right there. Man, that's exciting. All right, you can tell the excitement in my voice. I'm so excited, huh? But I really am. I really am. Ooh, man, this game I like. So Oregon goes and destroys Stanford. Okay, we all expect that. I wasn't sure if they do it because next week they face Washington, and I think this is at Washington. Let's see. Yes, at Washington, and Washington is just phenomenal this year. Both teams are like they're like clones of each other. They have a full roster. Both of these teams have full rosters. I wonder what the spread is on that. So at Washington, I'm gonna guess it's probably like I'm hoping that it's gonna be Washington. This is gonna be the favorite -2.5, -3, but I don't think so. I think the spread makers are too smart for this, and they're gonna do Oregon -1. So Oregon should be the favorite. Any other direction, I'm taking Oregon. I like Michael Penix. I love the Washington team, but they're going down next week. This Oregon team is just very, very, very solid. You cannot touch the quarterback. Bo Nix will have all day, and while Washington's made well, they don't have the kind of talent that Oregon has. It's going to be, Washington's going to be able to score, and it's going to be home. I don't know. I just don't think they have the talent of Oregon. And Oregon looks at Washington. There's no fear of Washington. There's there's fear of other teams in the SEC and so on, but there's no fear of Washington. They know them. They're used to them. They're comfortable in Washington. They're not going too far. The fans are probably going to travel really well, but that's an exciting game. Put that on your list. That might be one I bet on, actually. I love that. Let's see where the spread lands, but what else do we got for the recap show? We got the Notre Dame Duke. Heck of a game. I'm so disappointed that my Blue Devils couldn't pull it off. I was really rooting for them. They're my underdog. They did win for us this week, but I'm really liking them. Riley Leonard, star quarterback for Duke, got injured. He'll be injured for a couple weeks. This is the end for them. This is their Cinderella story is over. They will not be able to duplicate these finishes. They could have won that game, and they could have won the whole ACC. That's for sure. And now it's all done. That is sad because they were fun to bet on, they were fun to watch, they were fun to everything. They had a nice story, and now it's done. But I'm kind of happy because I like Notre Dame. I like for them to keep achieving well, and that's a good team to bet on. You got to look at these betting angles, and they're going to Louisville, and they got to buy, which they need after Ohio State and Duke. That was a tough 2 games for Notre Dame. So they got to buy, and then they go to Louisville, USC, Pitt, Clemson, and then Wake Forest, Stanford. So there you get a break. But if they can win the rest of these games, I think they can get in the championship game. I don't think they can because they're not actually in a conference. So I think they don't have a championship game, but everybody loves them so much they might fight for them to be in. So let's see. They should get in a conference, that's for sure. People have been saying that for years, but they got their own thing going with money and so on. How about my Hawkeyes beating Michigan State, setting the bar low, and they couldn't score for a long time in that game, but they eventually did, and they got the win there at the end. They were losing, and they scared the crap out of me. You cannot go down this early. Everybody knows they're going to at least make it to the championship game in the Big 12, and then they're going to crap the bed. You got to wait to crap the bed. You can't, not too early. So let's see. I got to come up with a new saying that's getting a little played out. And if you're in my generation, played out is the word. But you got Alabama going to Mississippi State, but Mississippi State is not this good this year, and Auburn is not this good this year. I skipped over it, but Georgia's at Auburn. You got to watch for Auburn. They got a good defense, same thing that they always do. They got a good defense, rough running game, but this quarterback that they have is a liability. Liability. He is good enough to manage the game to some extent, but he is going to throw an interception. He's going to make a mistake. You got to put some force on him, and he will easily get you the win the opposite way. Bet against Auburn. This quarterback, he does too much, and when he does something, he's just not capable. Kind of like the Utah quarterback. They're not capable. But I think the Utah quarterbacks are better managers than this Auburn guy. I do not like him at all, as you can tell. Nothing personal. But we got Fresno State once again 27-9, making the top 25. Congratulations to them. That's a good story. 5-0. I don't think they have many challenges on their schedule. I think they do play Air Force. Let's see. They do not. They do not play Air Force. They'll probably play them in the championship game in their conference. You got Boise State, San Jose State, San Diego State. There are no challenges on this. And they have a quarterback who is just phenomenal. He's destroying all the records that Hainer left. It's pretty remarkable what he's doing. I did not think he would be able to pick it up so quickly, but remember this name, Mikey Keene. Mikey Keene is the guy. 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and he is just tearing it up on a massive level, taking Fresno State to the top 25, and he's probably, I think they're at 24, but they might, by the end of the year, they could be top 15 if anything. That would be pretty impressive. Could they crack the top 10? Let me know what you think. I don't think so personally. I'll just answer the question. They cannot. They cannot. I'm gonna go see them. I want to see them, but let's see. What else do we got? So for college football, that's pretty much it. We got backdoored by Arizona and Washington. Once again, we had the win. We were at 23-36, and we had to bet 150 to win 300, and we crapped the bed. Oh my gosh. They were covering. Last game of the night. It's like 8:30. Arizona takes it down, scores a touchdown for no reason to make it a one-possession game. They didn't have enough time. It was 1 minute left. Goodness gracious. Now, I thought Washington would go crazy. Michael Penix is trying to win the Heisman. They're going to a bye week. So that reminds me, maybe that Oregon-Washington game is not next week. It has to be the week after if Washington has that bye. But we got a lot of exciting games regardless. See, I try not to talk about next week's games, but you can't help it. If you're looking at these games, you're wondering what's going on next week. You have to look like 2 weeks ahead to see if there's some kind of letdown or something like that. And the game that bit us in the butt. So I like Denver because they got their butts whooped last week. And they almost got their butts whooped this week. They had a comeback only because Chicago's trying to get that first pick. I think they're tanking. After all that's happened, they didn't originally start tanking, but they're tanking now. So the Bears, they lost the game to Denver. They let Peyton and Russell Wilson save some pride for next week. They could actually have a pretty good team. Who knows, but that defense is just awful. How do you let the Bears score 28 points? And then Minnesota finally gets on the win column. They got their first win against Carolina, but it was a barn burner for a while. They were losing that game. Bryce, I keep wanting to say Bryce Harper, but Bryce of Carolina, he got back in, and they got some players back. They got some offensive line back. They're looking a lot better. They have something there, but the Red Rocket, the Red Rifle, he looked a lot better out there than Bryce did. He put up way more points. He's way more accurate. He's just a better quarterback. but that'll come with time, I suppose. I don't know. He looks so much better than Bryce out there. And Minnesota's finally in that win column. I think Minnesota will make the playoffs. And you got Miami coming off that 70-point win, losing in Buffalo 48-20. That's the one that bit us in the butt. So we had Minnesota Miami plus 13 points. I can't predict that. I can't predict that. They actually had a chance. Miami had the ball driving, and they were down by 20, I believe. So they could have scored a touchdown. This is the beginning of the fourth quarter. They had the opportunity every time they got it in the red zone. Buffalo's defense just shut them down. They were not able to score. It was pretty remarkable. And Waddle didn't play last week, but he plays this week, and they're not able to put up points. What does that say about them? Are they for real? I mean, it's a letdown, yes, but you don't get your butts whooped like that. I mean, will people come back look at this? Is it going to be significant? I couldn't really tell you, but I'll tell you what is significant. Houston Texans, two-game win streak. Whew. That is nice. That is pretty darn interesting. And to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have been hot lately. You got Baltimore with all their injuries. Now, Deshaun Watson did not play, but he was the only injury on this field for the Cleveland Browns. So they got their defense. They got their offense. Just the quarterback, and they had the guy from UCLA who Ace let me know is top notch. Apparently, not so much. Not so much, but it is his first game. He's going against that Ravens defense, so he was gonna have a hard time. Well, you also got Lamar Jackson on the other side, who's trying to prove himself and trying to get to the playoffs. So he's not going to let up. They're not going to let up. That defense isn't good. They see a wounded animal inside the division. That's one you have to get. And they did their job, 28-3. So pretty darn impressive. I'm really disappointed with New Orleans. I don't know who's a bigger disappointment in this year than New Orleans. Derek Carr comes back, Alvin Kamara comes back, and Tampa Bay is injured. You got Baker Mayfield on the other side, who always screws me, but that's just one that you cannot let that get out of control. 26-9, they can't put up points. I'd like to see what the Saints are averaging points wise, but that is awful. That is really bad. 9 points. I think last week they put up crap, and the week before that they put up barely anything against the Panthers in their hobbled defense. So I don't know what is going on with them. Jameis Winston might be able to put up better numbers than Derek Carr at this point. If he's hurt, don't play him. Philadelphia squeaked out a win in overtime against Washington. They get the job done. Philly gets the job done. What can you say? They're rough. They're tough. They get in there. They're able to manufacture wins. They're able to blow people out. They just do what they. But I don't think they're a championship caliber team. I don't think they can win that big game. I just don't see that magic that championship teams have. But who am I? That's just my guess. That's my betting perspective. I'll take them in the regular season, but I don't believe they have that extra that you need to win a championship. You need something extra. You got the Raiders and Aiden O'Connell and his premier. Is it his era now? I believe so. He got sacked probably like 5 times, 2 forced fumbles, and what's his name? The coach is blaming him. That's a little bit ridiculous. You're going to put him in his first game and I guess give him a hard time, Why not? That's going to make him better, or he's going to crumble. But I see him. He's going to be really good. I watched him at Purdue, and he was a stud. You always got them spreading it out, putting up numbers, and he's should do the same thing here. He can really throw the long ball. He can get it around. He's accurate. He's not Garoppolo. That's good. And then you got New England. They suck. New England sucks. Are they tanking? I don't know. Is Belichick doing some kind of like where he's trying not to make it look like tanking? That's pretty bad. Every week they find another way to lose a game. And Dallas, who just lost to the Cardinals, I should have went that direction. We should have went that direction. Losing to the Cardinals, coming home, going against the Patriots. The angle's there, but I'm surprised that KC didn't cover the 8, but flying all the way to New York, you got the Taylor Swift distraction. I swear she's going to ruin that team, but we'll find out. They're sitting at 3-1. They're looking good. Just wait till she breaks Kelsey's heart and writes a song about him. Try betting on that team. All right, so that about wraps it up. You got Seattle at New York tomorrow. I've been looking at that game. I'm not sure I like anything about that game. Saquon's out, but Seattle's line is starting like 2 rookies. And Geno Smith, do I trust him? DK Metcalf, do I trust? I know the linebacker and the safety are out. Injuries is the name of the game in that. And you have a lot of unknowns. It's 1.5 is the spread. Favorite is Seattle. Apparently Seattle is like really good on Monday night. But what does that have to do with anything? I hate when they throw up those stats. They're totally different teams. They go back like 10 years and give you these stupid statistics that mean nothing. And you're starting off 0-0. That's it. Who's going to win tomorrow's game? I'm leaning towards Seattle. I like Seattle. I like Geno Smith. He looked like a superstar last year. He's looking like Geno Smith this year, the Geno Smith. But Daniel Jones, can he get it done? You got Matt Breida in the backfield. He's not really putting up numbers. I think the New York defense is good enough. I really struggle with this one. If you made it this far, let me know what you think. For those, unfortunate souls that made it all this way, and now you have your angle, I'll see you. Let me know next week. Have a good one.